upon this advice, began to hide their riches and carry away their movables. The governor immediately raised all the people of the town, freemen and slaves, and with part of them took a post by which of necessity the pirates must pass, and commanded many trees to be cut down and laid across the ways to hinder their passage, placing several ambuscades, strengthened with some pieces of cannon to play upon them on their march. He gathered in all about 800 men, of which detaching part into the said ambuscades, with the rest he begirt the town, drawing them up in a spacious field, whence they could see the coming of the pirates at length. Captain Morgan, with his men, now on the march, found the avenues to the town unpassable. Hereupon they took their way through the wood, traversing it with great difficulty, whereby they escaped divers ambuscades. At last they came to the plain, from its figure called by the Spaniards La Sabana, or the sheet. The governor, seeing them come, detached a troop of horse to charge them in the front, thinking to disperse them, and to pursue them with his main body. But this design succeeded not, for the pirates marched in very good order, at the sound of their drums and with flying colours. Coming near the horse they drew into a semicircle, and so advanced towards the Spaniards, who charged them valiantly for a while. But the pirates being very dexterous at their arms, and their governor with many of their companions being killed, they retreated towards the wood, to save themselves with more advantage; but before they could reach it, most of them were unfortunately killed by the pirates. Thus they left the victory to these new come enemies, who had no considerable loss of men in the battle, and but very few wounded. The skirmish lasted 4 hours. They entered the town, not without great resistance of such as were within, who defended themselves as long as possible; and many seeing the enemy in the town, shut themselves up in their own houses, and thence made several shots upon the pirates, who thereupon threatened them, saying, "If you surrender not voluntarily, you shall soon see the town in a flame, and your wives and children torn to pieces before your faces." Upon these menaces the Spaniards submitted to the discretion of the pirates, believing they could not continue there long. As soon as the pirates had possessed themselves of the town, they enclosed all the Spaniards, men, women, children, and slaves, in several churches, and pillaged all the goods they could find. Then they searched the country round about, bringing in daily many goods and prisoners, with much provision. With this they fell to making great cheer, after their old custom, without remembering the poor prisoners, whom they let starve in the churches, though they tormented them daily and inhumanly, to make them confess where they had hid their goods, money, etc., though little or nothing was left them, not sparing the women and little children, giving them nothing to eat, whereby the greatest part perished. Pillage and provisions growing scarce, they thought convenient to depart, and seek new fortunes in other places. They told the prisoners, they should find money to ransom themselves, else they should be all transported to Jamaica; and beside, if they did not pay a second ransom for the town, they would turn every house into ashes. The Spaniards hereupon nominated among themselves 4 fellow prisoners to go and seek for the above mentioned contributions. But the pirates, to the intent that they should return speedily with those ransoms, tormented several cruelly in their presence, before they departed. After a few days the Spaniards returned, telling Captain Morgan, We have ran up and down, and searched all the neighbouring woods and places we most suspected, and yet have not been able to find any of our own party, nor consequently any fruit of our embassy. But if you are pleased to have a little longer patience with us, we shall certainly cause all that you demand to be paid within 15 days." Which Captain Morgan granted. But not long after, there came into the town 7 or 8 pirates, who had been ranging in the woods and fields, and got considerable booty. These brought amongst other prisoners a negro, whom they had taken with letters. Captain Morgan, having perused them, found that they were from the governor of Santa Jago, being written to some of the prisoners, wherein he told them they should not make too much haste to pay any ransom for their town or persons, or any other pretext, but on the contrary they should put off the pirates as well as they could, with excuses and delays, expecting to be relieved by him in a short time, when he would certainly come to their aid. Upon this intelligence, Captain Morgan immediately ordered all their plunder to be carried aboard, and withal he told the Spaniards that the very next day they should pay their ransoms, for he would not wait a moment longer, but reduce the whole town to ashes if they failed of the sum he demanded. With this intimation, Captain Morgan made no mention to the Spaniards of the letters he had intercepted. They answered, that it was impossible for them to give such a sum of money in so short a space of time, seeing their fellow townsmen were not to be found in all the country thereabouts. Captain Morgan knew full well their intentions, but thought it not convenient to stay there any longer, demanding of them only 500 oxen or cows, with sufficient salt to powder them, with this condition, that they should carry them on board his ships. Thus he departed with all his men, taking with him only 6 of the principal prisoners as pledges. Next day the Spaniards brought the cattle and salt to the ships, and required the prisoners. But Captain Morgan refused to deliver them, till they had helped his men to kill and salt the beeves. This was performed in great haste, he not caring to stay there any longer, lest he should be surprised by the forces that were gathering against him; and having received all on board his vessels, he set at liberty the hostages. Meanwhile there happened some dissensions between the English and the French. The occasion was as follows. A Frenchman being employed in killing and salting the beeves, an English pirate took away the marrow bones he had taken out of the ox, which these people esteem much. Hereupon they challenged one another. Being come to the place of duel, the Englishman stabbed the Frenchman in the back, whereby he fell down dead. The other Frenchmen, desirous of revenge, made an insurrection against the English, but Captain Morgan soon appeased them, by putting the criminal in chains, to be carried to Jamaica, promising he would see justice done upon him, for though he might challenge his adversary, yet it was not lawful to kill him traitorously, as he did. All things being ready and on board, and the prisoners set at liberty, they sailed thence to a certain island, where Captain Morgan intended to make a dividend of what they had purchased in that voyage; where being arrived, they found nigh the value of 50,000 pieces of 8 in money and goods. The sum being known, it caused a general grief to see such a small purchase, not sufficient to pay their debts at Jamaica. Hereupon Captain Morgan proposed they should think on some other enterprise and pillage before they returned. But the French, not being able to agree with the English, left Captain Morgan, with those of his own nation, notwithstanding all the persuasions he used to reduce